With it being Friday, um, there is a topic I can talk about, and we have SmackDown coming up. We have Rampage coming up, AEW Rampage, and Rampage is leading up into All Out, which is this weekend. As it was reported, I think a day ago, the Pac and Andrade match for All Out has been moved to a later date to Rampage. Uh, and they say it's because of travel reasons, which, let's be honest, I can't understand it being travel reasons because of with it being with this virus and everything like that. You have Pac, which lives overseas in England. They can't really go from place to place like that right now so easily. But if you follow Andrade on Twitter, you can see his comments about it, which I think are hilarious. And I suggest anybody that's a wrestling fan follow Andrade or follow any of your favorite wrestlers on Twitter. Okay, so what do I know for certain we have for All Out right now? Well, for certain, we have the Young Bucks going against Ray Phoenix and Penta in a steel cage tag team match, which I think is going to be, to steal a phrase from JR from the old days, it's going to be a barn burner. I think those two tag teams in a steel cage match at that will be they will definitely show what they have to offer, even though we already know what they have to offer is top-notch talent. And honestly, if it wasn't for AEW having the Young Bucks, having Penta, having Ray Phoenix, I think those four people right there, those four professional wrestlers, really show what AEW has to offer, and it really put AEW on the map, if you ask me. So that's just what I think about that match per se. Now, who I think is going to win? Even though I would love to see, let's say, I would love to see Penta win. Or is it going to be Penta and Ray Phoenix? I think it is. Anyway, who I would love to see win would be them. But in all honesty, what I think is going to happen is Ray Phoenix and Penta are going to beat them. And there's that. And let's see. We have Paul White, aka or formerly known as the Big Show, going up against QT Marshall, which, let's be honest, I think that's going to be probably one of the shorter matches of the evening. But it'd be nice to see Paul White back into a ring. I think he made the the wise choice of joining AEW because they gave him an opportunity to wrestle. He wanted to continue to wrestle. So I'm very pleased to see him get back into the ring and just to see what he's got left in the tank per se, which I don't see him wrestling all the time like you see Chris Jericho. He doesn't really wrestle all the time either, but I don't see Paul White wrestling all the time, but I do see him wrestling here and there, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And then let's see what else we have with All Out. We have Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega. That I think is going to be a good match because, let's be honest, I haven't seen a bad match from Kenny Omega. He does put on good matches, but let's not discredit Christian, because for a individual that's not been able to have a strict wrestling schedule or even been able to wrestle per se for 7 years, he's been doing pretty good. And that brings me to another thing that kind of was interesting to hear about, and you probably already heard about this from sources like What Culture Wrestling and other sources that's put that out there, that Gangrel was supposed to be make an appearance with Christian during a Rampage episode, but it didn't happen because of what happened at SummerSlam with Edge doing the Brood entrance, which that itself was so awesome to see, the Brood entrance again. That entrance back in the 90s was one of my favorite entrances. I mean, as a kid, seeing that entrance made me want to become a professional wrestler. Seeing entrances like that with the Brood, and then you had the Undertaker, and then later on down the road you had Kane. Their entrances top notch. I mean, my dream entrance when I was a little kid, if I was going to become a professional wrestler, I remember just having a thought, what if I came out to the ring, well, I didn't come out to the ring, but what if, like, 4 of these nomad looking people come out to the ring, get on each post, and then my music hits. And as a kid, what I wanted my music to be was, if you are a fan of Dragon Ball Z, it was that United States version of the opening song, which was Pump Up the Dragon. I wanted Pump Up the Dragon to be my entrance music, and I wanted 4 just ninja looking dudes around each post, and then all of a sudden, like, fire would come up to the middle of the ring, and then an explosion, and then there I am in the middle of the ring. I'd really had a dream that I would become a professional wrestler that would basically lay on the mat and wrestle that way, because I really couldn't walk. I still can't walk. The chances of me walking when I was younger was better because I could do physical therapy and, things like that. But as I got older, things got worse. But my dream was to be this professional wrestler that was basically wrestling on his back. Now, even though I had like a dream finishing move, I couldn't pull it off if I was laying on the ground. I would have had to do like a ankle lock or something. But now I'm getting off the subject of All Out. What is the next match in All Out? What would it be? Let's see. The next match that I can think of at this moment, the one that everybody I think is most excited about would be the return of CM Punk. As a wrestling fan since I was very little, ever since I've got to see CM Punk, over the years wrestle in WWE, I didn't get to see him in the independents. Back then, I wasn't that much following the independents. I do a better job of it now, but I don't know if I would really call Ring of Honor or stuff like that independent. It's definitely a smaller showcase for wrestlers than the big shows. Like, you got the shows in Japan, and then you have WWE. But here I go on another tangent. But anyway, I'm definitely looking forward to the CM Punk Darby Allin match. But before I give CM Punk some praise, I want to give Darby Allin some praise. Darby Allin, even before you teamed up with Sting, with whatever they're doing there, I want to get into a discussion with that and how I feel about that. But anyway, Darby Allin, even before the team up with Sting, he was just somebody that I've looked forward to seeing. Look forward to see what he would do. I mean, so many showcases with him. He's definitely a breakout talent from AEW. They need to continue pushing new talent, but I think with Darby Allin, they're going such an amazing direction with him. He definitely needs to have the AEW title at some point in his career. Can't really say when that needs to happen for me personally, but I look forward to the day, maybe, that I can get to meet Darby Allin. I want to sit down and say, Darby, if I was to ever become a wrestler, if I was able to follow that dream, I would have definitely been a Darby Allin type of wrestler. I mean, I just love his style. I love his approach. I love his carefree attitude when it comes to let's just give them everything you got sort of attitude. Now, with that said, I do want to speak on how I feel about the Darby Allin and Sting relationship. At first, I was a little bit confused, and let's be honest, I'm still a little bit confused about how that even came about, how that even came to be. I mean, I was really confused about it. But more that I looked at it, more sense that it made having Sting with Darby Allin. They are both kind of the same. Sting is definitely a different generation of a Darby Allin, and Darby Allin is a newer generation of a Sting, in a sense. So it makes sense to me now, but back then, I was just sitting there scratching my head like, really? Or I was just expecting, if this was WWE, let's be honest, if this was WWE, they would have came up with the stupidest storyline and say Sting is Darby Allin's father. That could have happened if this was in WWE. But then again, if Darby Allin was in WWE, we probably wouldn't have Darby Allin at all. Or the Darby Allin that we know. I don't think they would have showcased him as well as AEW has. To me, he's a much bigger star than, let's say, Kenny Omega, in the sense that he is a homegrown star from AEW. Well, I was a little bit afraid when Sting and Darby Allin got together, because I was like, Sting has still had that neck injury that we all known about from his match with Seth Rollins, which I'm not going to sit there and point fingers and be like, Seth Rollins is not a safe worker. If we're going to point fingers at anybody in WWE not being a safe worker, there's only one name that comes to my mind, and that is Nia Jax. I mean, at first I was like, Nia Jax is cool, Nia Jax is awesome. We need a monster female. But when you think about it, a lot of what she has done throughout the years to these female wrestlers, it's not been cool. But at the same time, I don't think we would have had Becky Lynch being the man, as she is referred to, or as big of a star, if it wasn't for the incident with Nia Jax, where she got punched in the face. I mean, I think it still would have happened, don't get me wrong, but that really what ignited the flame of that character. I got off the subject that I was on. I was on the subject of Sting wrestling again, right? I was really afraid of it, but they've really done a good job with him. They've been very careful with what they can do with him. They've done great with Sting. I have no problem with what they have done with Sting. But like I said, I was just afraid that he would have got hurt again. But they have done so well with the way that they have set up his matches. I can't knock them anymore about the Darby Allin and Sting relationship. It's been well received in my eyes and in a lot of people's eyes. So, I'm looking forward to the CM Punk Darby Allin match, because I know Darby Allin can put on a good match. He's a great worker. He's a great storyteller. And so is CM Punk. Or the CM Punk that I remember. I definitely think he's going to have a little bit of ring rust. Let's be honest with that. CM Punk is going to have that ring rust. But, I don't think it's going to be that bad of ring rust. Do I think it's going to show? Yeah, I think it's going to show. But I also think CM Punk wouldn't come to this match prepared and ready to go. Now, I think WWE should be afraid of what AEW has going on, and now that I'm getting more into WWE side of things in this conversation, well, it is Friday night, or it will be Friday night, or whenever you're watching this, it is Friday. So, we are going to have SmackDown. SmackDown has definitely been more of their A-list show. And I agree with a lot of the wrestler things, like what Simon Miller has said, that, or what Culture Wrestling has said, that SmackDown has definitely been WWE's better show. Now, as much as I want to think about what SmackDown is doing tonight, my brain is not coming up with anything. But we do have the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. That's been an interesting character turn for him. And then with Brock Lesnar coming back, and then you have this strained relationship with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. It's interesting. I can't wait to see what the match between Roman Reigns and Finn Balor is going to be. But here's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be a great match. It's going to be a great match. But Brock Lesnar is going to interrupt it. I'm calling it now. It's going to stop the match with Brock Lesnar coming out and just suplexing Finn Balor. So, with that said, this has turned into more of a wrestling conversation. But with everything, since it's Friday and since we have All Out coming on, I was going to speak a little bit about cannabis and about legalization again, but with me having some issues with my body, my train of thought, like I said, is not as good. So, this conversation is going to be cut short, and I don't know when the next conversation with Kevy is going to be. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like, please subscribe. Thank you again, and see you next time.